Do you want to be in the middle?
We're live. Sure.
You're live. Hello, world.
Hello, world. Let's watch a video.
Let's watch a video together.
Oh.
How will we know if it's playing?
Can you hear it?
Yeah,
Can you hear the video, right?
probably.
Sam, if you're watching, can you hear the video?
Let's see the comments. Hello.
Hello.
Is anybody out there?
No, nobody's there. One person's there. One full
dedicated person.
Sam. Dun, 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 dun. 3 people can't hear the video. Yes, you can. Can you or can you not? Not the video. Oh. Well, this is going.
It's going so well. It's going real well.
That's the end of the video for the day.
They can hear us. All right, should we
They can hear
are
us.
we just giving up on the video?
Yes, we are, because I don't know what to do.
It was like one of those ghost shout-outs. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, cover book.
But we do have dogs.
We have dogs
cool.
and Dr. Zach.
And Dr. Zach.
Yay.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Friday Night Live.
Hello.
We're here from the Fireflake Farm in Florida. And yeah.
This is Remy.
Remy.
That's Blanche. 3 pathetic, delicious, beautiful dogs.
Beautiful.
Hey, everybody. If you're out there, say hello. Say where you're from. And if you have any questions for us, now's the time to ask. You have a vet here who specializes in cannabis medicine, and we'll be able to give you some really great information if you are seeking it.
Yes.
And we have a great topic to talk about today.
We do have a great topic.
So initially it was supposed to be Angie here with Dr. Zach, and they're going to be talking all about IBD. We are going to reschedule that. Angie is actually opening her second location of Beautify the Beast, which is an all-natural boarding and grooming shop. And this one's kind of half Medi-Spa as well, where Dr. Zach's going to be helping out doing some amazing things. So we will reschedule for that one. But who are we saying? Susan says, hello from Beaufort, South Carolina.
Hello.
Woo-hoo! Woo. Well, we decided today's subject to talk about pain and the different levels of pain and the different kinds of pain. We chose this. We've been talking about pain a lot this week, Linda. I'm going to put you down. We're talking a lot about pain this week because I don't think a lot of pet parents are aware the different kinds of pain and the signs dogs are showing and what it can mean. We've been working a lot with arthritis specifically, and we're realizing that people don't know what signs of arthritis is. And so instead of talking about something like arthritis, we want to talk about a wider term and just pain. What does that look like? Pain from inflammation, pain from neurological issues, levels of pain. And Dr. Zach gets these questions all the time. How do I tell my dog is in pain? What are the signs and what can I do? What are the natural ways to do it? Mm-hmm. Are these medications okay for my dog to take? Are they okay to take long-term or short-term? Do you want to start talking about pain a little bit?
Yeah, I absolutely do, because it really is. It's the number one question I get in general as a veterinarian, whether I'm practicing in the emergency room or whether I'm practicing in just a primary care office. It's really the number one thing that people are wondering, because, when we're in pain, we tell someone about it, and we can talk about it. But with them, they're going to do a variety of things based on where the pain is that they're feeling. Mm-hmm. And so, a good place to start is to say that, what is pain? Pain is just a feeling your body's telling you that I feel uncomfortable. And it can be at different levels. It can be at different locations. And it can be for different lengths of time. And so, when you have a pain that's called physiologic pain, that is just a good place to start, where that is pain that is helping you to tell you that something's going wrong. So if you put your hand on a hot stove and you pull back quickly, that's a quick pain that's physiologic, that's helping you to actually live and exist in this earth and be protected. Right. But once you get past that point, that's where pain becomes pathologic or isn't helping anymore.
Oh, okay. Cool. So we have physiologic and pathologic is not helpful because it's not indicating anything. It's just pain for the sake of pain.
Right. Because pain is there to tell you to change something. you know? So
Okay.
it's uncomfortable for a second because it's like, that stove's hot. That's not good.
Right.
Pull your hand back. But once it's past that point where it's telling you something in order to help you exist, then it becomes pathologic because it's hurting you.
Okay. Cool.
So in dogs, what are signs of them showing pain?
Right. So the most common ways in which dogs will show you pain are, first, the most common is just shaking or trembling, not wanting to move, not wanting to walk around, jump up on a couch. They'll just kind of stand in a place, shake and tremble. And that looks as if maybe they're cold or that, you know, they are, people don't know, and that's okay.
Pain? I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. You'll see it all the time, especially with dogs that have, for example, neck or back pain. They'll just shake and tremble all day and they'll pant. Those are the three things they'll do.
Panting, I knew. Panting is definitely a big one.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's the most common and easy to kind of pick up. And of course, every time a dog shakes, it's not them in pain, but it's a good sign to say, maybe this is something that I should look into if it's happening more often than once or twice.
Wow.
Okay. Then obviously you'll have your classic limping or lameness, whether it's every now and then or consistently. We're going to get into certain reasons why dogs are in pain later, but things like where a dog may have developing arthritis, right? They may limp on one day when it's cold and dry, but if it's warm outside another day, they may feel like they're not in pain. Right. So they may limp intermittently. You may see it once and you may not see it the next 2 days. So that's another very common thing I'll hear. We're like, I think he's kind of limping one day, but then I can't tell.
Right.
Yeah. Trouble getting up, trouble going up the stairs. All that's the kind of stuff I see all the time here for sure.
Yeah.
And it's challenging because, like you said, you can't always know. They can't tell you where the pain is. And so if you don't know what the pain indicator is, what is responsible for that, it can be hard. If they're shaking, it's hard to know, well, it's their neck or their back. It's easier with things like arthritis. If it's a hip dysplasia, you can just look at their hips and their hips are creaky and there's pain there.
All right. Yeah. So there's inflammation-based pain. Then there's neurological-based pain, correct? And then there's central pain, which is just kind of unknown pain. Like in humans, it'd be like a fibromyalgia, migraine kind of situation. Yeah. Those are the three types of pain, right?
Yeah, again, that kind of stems off of the physiologic and pathologic. You can have in between those, you have your physiologic, and then after the ones you kind of mentioned, where you have the inflammation-based pain and the neurologic or the reverberation chronic kind of pain. And the central pain that you described, as well as the neurologic pain, are those two that make that up, actually. So those are fitting out of the, so if you were to break down that pathologic section, the inflammatory pain, and then you mentioned the neurologic and the central, those actually make up the third component. So that's actually very accurate.
Oh, awesome. Cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then there's, of course, pain from things like chemotherapy and other practices going on cancer related.
That's true. And I'll tell you, the most common pain I see the most in practice is one that no one really thinks about, because it's related to, though, the most common disease dogs get, which is dental disease. And one of the most common pains I'll see is sometimes dogs, when they're eating, they won't chew their food all the way. They'll drop their kibbles or their foods on the ground. Okay. They might hypersalivate a little bit.
Yeah.
If you go near their mouth, they might chatter a couple of times. Super common, probably the most common, besides kind of like the shaking and trembling, which you see more in older dogs as they get, a little bit changes in their joints and their bones. But that is literally up top with one of the most common pains I see, because we don't know when dogs' teeth are becoming, a little bit diseased. So,
right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Wow. Well, let's talk about pain management then, because I guess there's different forms of pain management, right? There's Blanche, so ridiculous.
Blanche is not very comfortable right now.
Yeah, there's different forms of pain management. There's immediate pain management. You step on a rock, your foot hurts. You put your hand on the stove, your hand hurts. And then there's something like arthritis, which is inflammation-based long-term. Right. So when it comes to pain management, a lot of times we're used to the quick fixes. Something like, what were we just talking about? NSAIDs and gabapentin and those things, which shouldn't be used as long-term solutions.
Absolutely.
They can be used for very specific, maybe in the moment, extreme pain. Yeah. But we're also finding that CBD can work just as well, can we say, when it comes to pain?
Well, yeah, of course, there's different levels of pain. So we'll use different scales in medicine to try and quantify pain. So there's a certain scale we've created. There's more than one scale, but the main one we use is like on a 0 to 4 scale. if you're working in the early stages of a certain painful situation, as we know, CBD and a full spectrum hemp extract has the ability to help mitigate or reduce pain at the source, as well as when it's reacting within the central nervous system to then actually have
the sensation
of
the pain.
Correct, exactly.
Yeah, and that's because there are, tell me if I'm saying this correctly, receptors in the brain and the central nervous system where dogs actually have more receptors than even we do, where basically it blocks the communication between the brain and the pain sensation, correct?
It stops them from ever perceiving it.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's going to work pretty fast, CBD, putting it on the gums, right? Getting it in there. It's going to take about hopefully 10 to 15 minutes to get rid of a good amount of pain. As far as what I've seen here on the farm go, when I see a dog that is in pain, in that moment, I see them trembling, I see them limping, I hear them whining. My goal is to get them to be pain-free as soon as possible.
Right, quickly.
So my point of view there is to dose them hard until I see the pain go away. Because we know with studies that CBD and THC and other cannabinoids are incredibly safe at even extreme high dosages. And my number one mission is quality of life and making sure they're comfortable.
Right.
Would you agree with just kind of dosing until they feel comfortable if it's extreme pain in the moment?
Yeah, right. So that's why it's extremely important, as we always discuss, to kind of do a trial and error method at home, before the time is when you're at that moment you need it so badly. So to find your dog's optimal dose before that, and then realize again, like you said, there's never been a living creature that has died from a non-adulterated form of cannabis.
Right.
So,
And when he says non-adulterated form of cannabis, you might hear on the news all the time, a dog died of CBD or died of marijuana.
CBD causes liver damage.
Yes. It is never, ever, ever the actual plants or the compounds in there. It's what else was in there. Was there chocolate in the brownies that they, or raisins? Was there pesticides in, it's never, no mammal in the history of the world has ever died of an overdose directly caused by cannabis.
And we have to say a lot of times potential with like its ability to be therapeutic still, because we are still getting some studies that are directly for animals, but there is zero opportunity to argue the fact that no one's ever died from cannabis when it hasn't been adulterated. So that's just something we have to continue to say with a lot of confidence, that the trial and error method of starting low and going slow is going to allow you the freedom and the liberation to then find the titrated dose that's best for your pet.
Totally. Right. So so if your dog is in extreme pain in that moment, your dog, your cat, your horse, dose, and in your option, you're going to CBD because you decide to go a natural route. And it's just as effective. Put it right on the gums because we want to get right in that bloodstream as soon as possible and relieve that pain as fast as possible, and dose until they're comfortable. That might mean that they're asleep for a little while, but at least they're comfortable.
And that's like what Zach was saying earlier is dogs, there's no placebo effect with them. If they are feeling better, they'll feel better. There should be no question for you of like, well, I can't really tell, like he's still doing this or he's still doing that. You should see the difference. If it is a chronic pain or something situational, you want to see it get better. You want to see them feel better then and there. So trust your instincts with that.
We got a few questions before we move on. Susan says, my baby Yorkie Abner has shakes every morning. I don't know if it's pain or low blood sugar. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, the answer to that would be we take a blood sugar test in the morning. So that's our great opportunity to involve our veterinarian to say, listen, I want to just take a resting glucose value when he wakes up in the morning. Can I just come in the first thing in the morning and get that value? And if you do it twice or three times and the blood sugar is normal, then it's not that.
Great.
Yeah.
I like that answer. Mariana says, I love this topic. As a nurse, I know how to assess humans, but I have no idea how to assess my baby's pain. Awesome. My babies are about 80 to 100 pounds. How much should I use of CBD? Hi, Mariana. Mariana, have you been here before? I recognize your name. So Mariana, dosing has very, very little to do with the size or weight of the animal. It's more to do with their individual, if we're talking about pain, their individual level of pain or their sensitivity to CBD and cannabis. It's all, if we're not talking about pain, you know, I always say a small dog with cancer is probably going to need a lot more than a big dog with anxiety. It's about your dog's specific needs. So what Zach was saying before of that trial and error, start low and gradually build up, is exactly what it means. It's about starting somewhere, which we have we'll share our dosing guide with a suggested place of where to start for certain ailments, and gradually increase until you find what works, or decrease until you find what works. And it's all about their specific needs, really nothing to do with weight.
But there are kind of some benchmarks that we've found, you know, here on the rescue farm, and then also by the research that's been done in places like Cornell and University of Colorado Boulder, where they found they're experimenting with different ranges of CBD from a full spectrum hemp extract for things like arthritis. And so, you know, sticking to those as like a benchmark range, you can then be flexible and say, okay, my dog appears to be a little bit less sensitive than the average dog, so I might use a little bit more. Or my dog he's really good at a little bit less than what most people are giving. You don't have to question that. You just go with what you see and adjust as time goes on. Because another thing that we've found, and that the research indicates, is that sensitivity can actually change over time as your animals both age, or as their sensitivity to cannabis and the way that their body is processing cannabis changes.
There's actually a really cool study that I just found recently showing the difference in cannabinoid receptors in the brains of young dogs and young mice compared to old dogs and old mice. And most of them had a lower cannabinoid receptors in their brain, showing that they're probably going to need a little bit more.
Right. There's less sites for those CBD molecules to connect to in the brain. So there has to be more CBD so it can fill them all up.
Yeah, totally.
And lastly, remember that we have to also consider how many conditions is the endocannabinoid system, our natural system, already trying to enhance.
Yeah.
And where is it going to need help? So if we have an animal that has anxiety and also has arthritis, and also getting a little older, and they're losing some of that cognitive function. And then, for example, they have some type of low-grade liver condition that's underneath that. That's going to not only require more of the full-spectrum hemp extract because the body is already using a lot. The liver also is a little bit older than that. So
I never thought about that. So if there's multiple issues that the endocannabinoid system is dealing with, there's so many receptors to kind of work throughout the body. So that's why you might need more CBD, because you know, we're having seizures, but we're also having knee pain. So there's so much to work with.
Exactly. I mean, the good example that we talk about all the time is that, you know, some of the dogs on the farm, right, that are older than some of the older dogs or smaller than the bigger dogs, they require almost more than 2 times the amount of the dose. Why is that? Because maybe not only because of the fact that that's what they need for one condition, but they're also having multiple conditions that their endocannabinoid system is already trying to help with.
That's awesome.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And another thing that's amazing with the endocannabinoid system that I've been reading a lot about is that, and this makes sense to what you're saying, is that when there is an issue, let's say there's a lot of inflammation in the knee, or, you know, neurological issues in the brain causing seizures, your endocannabinoid system knows to start going to that part of the body to give more of the natural endocannabinoids. So it literally knows where it needs to be and where to put its attention to. And sometimes it just doesn't have enough natural endocannabinoids to help. And that's when these phytocannabinoids like CBD come in and help.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, I agree with all that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. The next kind of pain that we want to talk about a little bit is inflammation-based pain. And this is probably the easier one to figure out. It's not always as quick as finding the solution. It is more of a long-term game than figuring out a dose and just getting them comfortable in the moment. It's about longevity.
And definitely something you want to catch as it's starting rather than once there's already been.
Darling.
Oh my God, is she gonna die? No.
That charger is probably, you got it right there. So CBD is known to be one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatories we have. So anything inflammation-based that's causing them pain, like arthritis, which is inflammation in the joints, we know that CBD is going to help with. Yay! This is an awesome study done by Cornell, where they got I forget how many beagles was it? 20? I think it was 20 beagles to assess how CBD helped with pain and mobility. And they all saw a significant increase in both pain reduction and mobility, just proving what we've learned otherwise, that CBD gets rid of inflammation naturally.
And with little to no side effects. Whereas, with NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, which are pretty common, when we talk to pet parents, most often they're on something like a Rimadyl, which, like we said, it's super effective and it's great to use short term, but one of the side effects is, it's really tough on their bodies, and over time you can get stomach ulcers. It's really hard for them to process. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's NSAIDs, but there's a numerous amount. So
yeah,
there's the classic NSAIDs. There's that new drug called Galliprant.
Right. Yeah.
There's steroids. There's tramadol. All four of those are all drugs that will have a considerable side effect profile. The one that I feel comfortable with using in short term, if we do need an extra pharmaceutical, is going to be gabapentin, which is a very common drug now because of the fact that it's going to have minimal side effects. But again, these aren't meant for you to be having these animals on for the rest of their life. It's situational. And although a drug may have less side effects than the other one, that doesn't give you the right to then just use it liberally for the rest of their life.
Right.
You should find natural solutions then to find a level of balance again after you've just been able to control it. But starting with the full spectrum hemp extract and then saying, maybe we need a little bit more help today. Maybe it's a rougher day.
On this day, this is a particularly bad day. Let's boost it here strategically, not just blanket them with a barrage of painkillers.
And that's why, CBD and a full spectrum hemp extract is literally, it's not going to cure everything, but it is literally the safest first rate option you can have in every situation.
Especially inflammation-based things. Especially inflammation-based things.
And as far as we know, it's safe to use with NSAIDs, with gabapentin. There's some research that indicates that using it with steroids can increase the blood concentration levels of some steroids. So that's something to be cautious of and to talk to your vet about. But generally, unless it's at super high levels, it's quite safe to use with most pharmaceutical drugs.
Right. Yeah. The amount of CBD in a full spectrum hemp extract that you're going to need versus if you were using another product that was more concentrated CBD but doesn't have the entourage effect with it. That's the benefit of that as well, because the amount of CBD you need is going to be far less. And you're going to have all these other molecules that no one's even talking about, also enhancing the way in which CBD is going to have an effect.
And balancing its side effects.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. There was something I was about to say about inflammation, pain. Another, this is not inflammation based. Well, kind of inflammation based, but this long-term use of medications that we're talking about also relates to something like Apoquel when we talk about allergies. Dr. Zach's been teaching me a lot about the necessity of pharmaceuticals for certain situations and how important of a role they play when they're needed for immediate relief. But the beauty of natural medicine as preventative medicine, number one, and as the long-term medicine that's actually going to work with your body. So it's something, I keep every life. I never want to say that there's no room for pharmaceuticals. There's a time and a place, absolutely. But if we're looking for long-term and longevity and actual healing and not just Band-Aids on top of the issues, this is where CBD comes in, right?
Yeah. And we've lost the focus on preventative and regenerative medicine practices. We're all about reactive now. And so
intervention.
Exactly. And we need to get back to saying we can start from the beginning of life in promoting health, happiness, and healthfulness. And then if we started somewhere and now we're down a path where we are seeing some side effects, to regenerate back to that level of healthfulness and happiness. That's what we need to, and that's where the natural compounds come in with CBD obviously being at the top of that list.
And listen, every animal, all of us, we're all going to have some sort of arthritis in our life. We're all going to have some sort of inflammation in our life. So it's also smart to start thinking about using it preventatively. If you know that you have big dogs who are running around and jumping around like crazy and you're not seeing arthritis yet, doesn't mean it's not coming, doesn't mean that's not even there, but using it before it even gets there is a great thing to consider.
Yeah.
Our ease tincture, which we use mostly for arthritis and aches and pain, also has turmeric and frankincense. And there's a lot of amazing research about frankincense and turmeric working separately as amazing anti-inflammatories, but research also showing that together they work even better.
Yeah. One specific study that looked at the effects of turmeric and looked at the effects of frankincense and studied each of those as a control and then put them together and found they were even better together, which goes with the same ideology that we understand cannabis by, where there's this synergistic relationship between all these molecules that balance effects, boost other effects, and just give kind of a better rounded therapy in the end when they're all working together versus a single target pharmaceutical isolated molecule.
Yeah, agreed. Because your body's not one single molecule for one single target. Your body is always interconnected and talking. So it may help for one situation for a single moment, but then after that, the rest of the body is going to start talking and the rest of the molecules are going to start overlapping, which is why the side effects come.
Yeah, cool. Take a look at the ease tincture and that on the product page and just go through and read the reviews and see the amount of arthritis and pain relief reviews there are. It's pretty amazing. Oh my God, Remy. With pain and arthritis specifically, I love you so much.
And she's just like,
I know, she's out.
She's like, whatever.
With pain and arthritis specifically, we're finding some people are having better success using lower doses of ease with the frankincense and turmeric. They are having higher doses of heal. Because we have 3 amazing anti-inflammatories working together.
Right.
It really, really does make a difference for sure. So check it out if you have it. The ease tincture. Do we have any?
Yeah. Somebody asked if CBD can be used for allergies.
Oh yes,
absolutely. That's one of the main things that people come and ask us questions about. You know, it's a fantastic therapy for allergies for a number of reasons. Like we're saying about inflammation, it's great for system-wide control of inflammation. It's known to moderate the response of the immune system, reduce the production of inflammatory compounds like cytokines and histamines. And then also, you know, like we're talking about pain, it's just going to reduce their sensation of itchiness and of discomfort. And then, you know, it's great for their gut where, you know, a lot of the immune system and the cells of the immune system live. But what we always say as well for treating allergies is you really have to kind of get to the source. And oftentimes that has to do with diet and nutrition.
Most of the
time. Yeah. or things in their environment that they may be reacting to.
We have a great blog that we'll post on from Angela Ardolino's website, all about finding the source of the allergy problems. So like you said, food, environmental issues, also considering what you're using around the house. Are you using chemicals to wash your floors? Do you have sprays to make your house smell good, but full of chemicals? There's a lot that you can consider. And sometimes it's just genetics.
Right. Sometimes you're just predisposed to be a mess.
For sure. I remember the one thing you said actually that was spot on is that the reason why CBD helps with allergies is because allergies is literally your immune system overreacting. It's a response to the world that your body thinks it has to be scared, but it really doesn't. It's not started from, in most situations, a bacteria or a fungus. Those can then exacerbate it and make it worse over time. So if you do have, you know, a pyoderma or you do have some type of dermatitis that's from one of those two, then sure, that can make it worse. But allergies are from the body overreacting. So if you can modulate that body's overactive immune system, then you help to modulate the allergic response.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, immunomodulation.
Yes. And then for both arthritis and allergies, inflammation-based problems, it's good to be using CBD as a daily, if not every other day. It's not like when you step on a rock, you just need it right there. You know, and sometimes when it's a lot of inflammation, you have to start at higher doses, and then you can gradually later get onto a maintenance dose. But sometimes it's getting there's so much inflammation, there's so many problems that we have to hit them strong every day. And then you can kind of play around with doses later. Again, we have the dosing card that I know we posted here. Generally, we recommend somewhere around 9 to 15, 18 milligrams daily.
Again, dependent on your animal's specific sensitivity, their condition, their current metabolism and disease processes.
Yeah, so it's just specific to their needs. Trial and error. Keep a journal on hand, write down the daily dose, write down the reaction, and adjust accordingly.
Yep, absolutely.
Thoughts? Good?
I couldn't have said it better. That's right.
Amy Brown
It's like we thought of
says,
those words together at some point, didn't we?
Amy Brown says, people constantly want advice when they have been given a terminal diagnosis from their vet. They want to change food, add supplements, add pain meds. Is CBD the best treatment for comfort at the end? Sorry, sad topic, but one we are frequently asked at the holistic pet store that I work at. So what's the question? People constantly want advice when they have terminal diagnosis from their vet. They want to change the food, add supplements, add pain meds. Is CBD best?
Well, I mean, that's a hard discussion because of the fact that when we're in that situation, if there's any period of time that we're trying to just maximize quality of life, then that's where we're at, especially if we have something where we're given a poor prognosis. So you know, to answer the question directly, I would say that CBD is one of the best that you can think of for the fact that it's not going to add side effects and only has the opportunity to help in one or more ways. But again, when we're dealing with something that's a terminal condition versus, you know, a different situation, I guess we have to wonder, is it worth going through all these crazy measures to try and do something, or is, again, the goal to maximize quality of life? So what I would say is if we're given that situation, maximization of quality of life is the best. And is CBD going to be a great option? Yes. Now, at the same time, what a terminal condition was back maybe when conventional medicine was all what we're doing versus now, is there an opportunity to now, in a natural form, maybe increase the chances of that prognosis being a little better? That's a whole different conversation.
Right.
And that's one where, you know, it takes a little bit more of a discussion with a veterinarian. You know, what do you mean by terminal? What do you mean by like this being, you know, an end stage situation? Or is there an opportunity that through, you know, combining different modalities of medicine, can we give this animal an opportunity maybe to pull through this or to extend life longer?
I mean, that it just reminds me of so many times that I've been talking to Angie here at the farm, and she's talked about dogs that get kind of handed off to her, and the vet's like, well, I've done all I can do, and this animal's like having all these seizures, the skin is a disaster, and then you really look at what they've tried to do, and they haven't really looked at any of the root causes of those issues. They haven't. There's so many things they haven't tried, and they've already given up on these animals. So, you know, it's hard though, you know, because it's case by case.
It is.
Sure.
Exactly. That's the hard part, is it's case by case. You have to really analyze it like that.
My thought there is that if there's pain, yes, CBD right away. Let's make them comfortable. If there's stuff like seizures and stuff, let's start it right away because we know it's going to help. And then for me, it would be CBD first, and then right after that be food. If we have them on, you know, if we're trying to have this dog live a longer period of time, we have to make sure that we're feeding them the right foods.
Yeah. And then being specific about what their body can handle, you know, like if you've got a dog that's really in rough shape, you know, may not want to start them on like a hardcore raw diet that's going to just flip their world upside down.
But something like goat's milk is going to help a lot.
Yeah.
You know, something like turkey stock or bone broth is going to help a lot. If you want some awesome recommendations, you work at a holistic pet store. Oh, it's Amy Brown. Yeah. Answers Pet Food has amazing protocols, and you can always reach out to them, and they'll kind of give you a little bit more specific on food. Susan says, I have 6 dogs, all on your CBD oil. Awesome, Susan. Tracy, yes, I would want CBD for hospice care myself.
Me too.
And the last pain that we'll talk about, and I don't know how much this refers to dogs, it's just something I find super interesting, is the amount of research coming out on endocannabinoid deficiencies in our body, let's say human's body, that is causing things with unknown causes like fibromyalgia and like migraines. Is there anything comparable there for dogs?
Yeah, there's a ton of what the phrase in veterinary medicine is idiopathic. That's the word they use. So
and cats, there's just like a myriad of diseases in cats that are idiopathic.
Yeah. I can't wait till CBD is like mainstream in cats too. Like we started with dogs, but cats have so many conditions that are less looked into because there's less money for research.
Right.
And at the same time, cats, the amount of opportunity we have to work with them is different because they're a little bit more non-compliant. So there's just things
non-compliant. That's a really nice way to talk about cats.
But cats
are non-compliant.
But cats also have a lot of conditions that are stress-induced.
Yeah,
so dermatologic and urologic and GI related.
Right.
The three most common places we see where cats are affected by kind of taking their stresses and applying it somewhere else. Those are areas I think that would be very helpful. But to answer that question, for example, when we talk about CBD helping seizures, there's different things that cause seizures because seizures is kind of a response your brain has to another stimulus, right? So the most common reason we see dogs having seizures is idiopathic epilepsy, which is why we kind of group it as calling it seizures. It's the most common reason. So in that situation, we're calling it idiopathic epilepsy. Why is this dog developing seizures? We have no idea. Even if we do MRIs and we assess the fluid that surrounds the central nervous system and we do all the blood work in the world, they don't find an answer to this. So what is causing this animal to have seizures then, or we're not testing for everything, or is it an endocannabinoid deficiency?
Wow.
That's
really interesting.
Yeah. And as you said, the list, fibromyalgia and migraines, the researcher, Ethan Russo.
That's who I was listening to.
He's our favorite. He's done so much with the endocannabinoid deficiency topic that if we're finding them in humans, then why would we not find it in animals, especially like things coming out now with the changes in when to spay and neuter, do we allow the hormones to develop a little bit longer than we have been, et cetera. So there's no reason to not think, again, it would take a little bit of more research to prove it, but the idiopathic word is personally my least favorite word in all of medicine because there has to be an answer to why things are happening.
Right. Yeah.
I just literally wrote it down of research and blog about this because now I want to know all about it because I never thought about things like that. I just keep hearing about fibromyalgia specifically. But I couldn't put my brain onto something dog related, and that makes total sense. Do we know of any reasons why someone would have an endocannabinoid deficiency? Is it just genetics? I heard somewhere, I've read somewhere that it's one of the first times our endocannabinoid system is stimulated is when we're being breastfed. So maybe a dog who hasn't been breastfed has a deficiency. Do we know anything?
Yeah, I think that it's the nature and nurture aspect. So the genetic hereditary and nature component, I think that they're finding, for example, more women genetically have a higher rate of endocannabinoid deficiency syndrome than men.
Interesting.
Just for an example.
Wow.
But
I mean, it's already harder to be a lady.
So much harder.
Of course.
I know.
So, that's one example. But the nurture aspect, we don't know if a long-term poor diet where you're not feeding the endocannabinoid system, you're not feeding it with those long-chain fatty acids, those unsaturated fatty acids, which your body uses to make endocannabinoids, or other substances which dull the receptors throughout your body, the density. So
you're talking about like hemp seed oil and like fish oil?
Correct. Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Because that's how your body makes its own natural endocannabinoids. We talk about CBD enhancing it.
That's right. Yeah. For those of you who are new to endocannabinoid system and cannabis, so our body, every mammal, every vertebrate has this endocannabinoid system, and all of our bodies produce our own natural endocannabinoids. So we're saying deficiencies. We're just saying that our body is not producing enough of those, which is where CBD can come in to help mimic those endocannabinoids and fill up the deficiencies. How's she doing?
I can't. I don't know how anything lays this still the whole time. She's so adorable. She's like, no, stop it. Leave me alone. Don't touch me.
Oh
We're getting spammed by someone called Ak-An-Ni telling everybody to text somebody for $3,000 on the Cash App.
I want $3,000.
I'm going to tell you, you probably don't want to do that.
Yeah, you don't text them.
Sam, if you can go through and delete Ak-An-Ni and block them.
Yeah, no acne.
Yeah, Anne-Marie says, Scammers, get out!
Scammers, get out! You sick of memory.
Heidi says, could you repeat the food recommend? Who would you recommend for holistic food for end stage? Answers Pet Food, for sure, is our absolute favorite. We've been to their farms. We've met the owners. The quality, the ethics, everything is pretty incredible. And you can reach out to their team, let them know what's going on, and they'll point you to the right direction, for sure.
And if you can't get answers in your area, because there's some places where answers, you have to get it. It's all fresh. It's all frozen. So if your pet store doesn't have that, there are other great companies that do freeze dried, so it doesn't have to be necessarily frozen. Companies like Small Batch or Bones & Co. are really good. But I would go to Answers first, see if you can get their stuff, go by their protocols. And if you can't get their stuff, then kind of morph their protocols with a different company. That's what I would do if it were my dog.
Absolutely. Fresh food.
You guys know my favorite too is the Dr. Harvey's one, where
Dr. Harvey's,
is great. And we'll post. We have that on a site called Healing Naturally. It's a dehydrated formula you add water to. Some of it already has the proteins in it. Some you have to add a protein like chicken, like eggs, like sardines. Food is number one, and CBD and cannabis-based products is food. It's not supplements. The goal is to get everything our body needs through food, and have to use as little supplements as possible. Tracy says,
love Dr. Harvey.
Yep.
It's really great stuff.
It's a great transition to even a dog. Like if you tried freeze dried or raw from a reputable company, and the dog didn't take so well to it, Dr. Harvey's is kind of like this middle ground that you still are giving them 100% whole foods that have been dehydrated, that you can rehydrate, or sometimes dogs like the crunchy aspect of it, and then you can add real protein to it.
Right.
So, or the ones that are added protein. But nonetheless, what it does is it gives dogs almost the same palatability feel but it's not this high pressure process. Carbohydrate fillers that have added nutrients to try and meet the minimum requirements to keep a dog alive.
And it's less expensive than going straight raw too. So
that's true.
You can save a little money, and you get to rotate your proteins. You can just change that out.
Totally.
So
we're not the food experts.
We're not the food experts.
But we are very close relationship wise to the food experts, and they call us when it comes to CBD. And we call them when it comes to food, and
because we never want to be the ones who are going to be like, do this, it's going to fix everything, because that's kind of the hype about cannabis and CBD, is that like people claim it's a cure-all, and it's like no, this is a really great tool that is part of a holistic regimen that's about diet, nutrition, energy, your dog's predisposition, it's so many different things. So
it's working with the body.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Does anybody have any questions? Susan said, I can't feed raw to one of my babies because of his disease, so I gently cook for him and my other 7 dogs. We have a great relationship with someone named Dr. Ruth Roberts, who does a lot of lightly cooked foods options. And I think if we don't have her book, I think we can find her book. I think we have it, right?
Right there? No.
Well, there's an awesome book, and it's like a slow cook crock pot meals that she can help you out with, for sure. Any other questions? I think we're good.
Cool.
Do you any closing thoughts?
If you have any questions and you didn't get to put them here, or you're watching this after the fact, post them on the video and we will get to them, and we will respond to them. You can also send us an email at support@cbddoghealth.com.
Yes. We have a live chat option on our website.
Chat with us. It's us working it and responding to you. So, we'll help you in any way we can. Like we said, we're not the food experts. People come and ask us about all sorts of stuff that is not CBD related, and I'll give them my college try and direct you to veterinarians and other experts who know better if I can't answer the question. But,
and when it comes to CBD and cannabis, we know as much as we know today, and every week we learn more, because it's not brand new. It's brand new to us, brand new to humans, and it's been gone for so long. There's so much left to learn, and as we learn, we want to teach you guys. When you know better, you do better. And we'll be here every week reporting every bit that we learn of how CBD and cannabis and other compounds and amazing plants can help your dog and cat and horse thrive naturally. Want to say anything?
No, I was really excited to be on today because it's one of my favorite topics because, like I said, it's one of the top questions I always get. So the answer is almost always yes.
Yeah.
An animal that, wasn't just born is likely, trying to hide some level of discomfort in one place or another. And like I said, from the dental pain to the orthopedic pain to,
we didn't talk about the dental pain and the good. I mean, that's probably so great to put the CBD directly on their gums,
right?
For all that. Actually, Billy from Answers Pet Food, what is he? Oil pulls with our CBD, because it's getting rid of all the inflammation there. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it is. It's a great topic, and it is. They're tougher than us. We are a little wimps.
Yeah, they hide it well.
We're a little wimps. So I tell them, then once I kind of show a pet parent, I'm like, yeah, what you're seeing, where you thought that was the norm, that really is a sign of discomfort, and that's something we should address. We shouldn't just ignore it. So quality of life is why I'm here. At least I am driven to be able to try and help everyone realize that these creatures deserve to be enjoying this planet just as much as we can. So
yes.
And how do you not want to love on them, make sure that they're not comfortable?
Look at this.
So ridiculous.
So ridiculous.
And everything that we said today about pain management for pets also is for you guys. Anybody out there listening, if you have pain, if you're taking opioids, there's actually studies being shown that in states with medical cannabis or recreational cannabis legalization, the reduction in opioid use and opioid overdoses is pretty incredible. So if you need a natural alternative as well, definitely consider CBD for yourself, for sure.
And a little THC.
Which all of our products have. But if you can get a little bit more.
A little more for humans.
Yeah. Depends. You don't always need it. Yeah.
This human's very sensitive.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. We'll be back next week. I think next week we're talking about bone health, actually.
Okay, cool.
And we've got some exciting news next week about some new products coming out. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And thank you so much. Tracy says, in a world with so many CBD products out there, your company is by far the leader in quality and educating the consumer. Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank
you.
That's what we want to be. We want to educate. We're not just here to sell for no reason. We're here to tell people why this is the best.
Yeah. And create the best. And awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Have a great weekend.
Bye. We're going away. Bye.
Remy, look.
Oh, we have to close this one too. Close that one too.
Yeah.